This episode might change the way you see yourself. Have you ever finished a meal and then immediately found yourself standing in the pantry trying to find your next thing to eat? Have you ever told yourself you're not hungry but found yourself in a drive-thru anyway? Have you ever wondered why some people can take food or leave it, but you always take it? We're going to talk about that today. Ride with me while we discuss hot topics, share information, and just have fun conversations. Drive and thrive. Today, we're talking about one of the most important discoveries in modern day weight loss conversation: food noise. A term that has exploded in popularity because of the GLP medications like Mounjaro and Ozempic. But here's the fascinating part about this: food noise has been around for decades, probably as long as people have been eating in the modern day society where food has been readily available. So, what is food noise? Simply put, food noise is a consistent and constant chatter in your brain about food. Hunger is physical, food noise is mental. It's what should I eat? When can I eat? Do we have snacks? Maybe just one bite. Some people describe it as like a radio station that never turns off. This is the way it is for me. It's like having dozens of tabs open in your brain, and they're all about food. There's varying degrees. Some may have it 5 times a day, while another person might have a food noise chatter about 50 to 100 times a day. Some people don't have it at all. For those of you who do understand what I'm talking about, imagine not thinking about food all day long. So, the reason this conversation became so relevant when the GLP-1s hit the scene was because it silenced the food noise. And again, people didn't have the language for it. And I would even say most people didn't even think other people did that, because I did not. I thought I was the only one who lived with that. And I'm assuming others did too. So once GLP-1s hit the scene and the food noise started to quiet, people started talking about it. So here's the question that changes everything. Weight loss industry for decades was saying basically eat right and use willpower. More willpower than eat right, depending on the diet you were following. But what if two people aren't playing the same game? What if one person has food noise or cravings or chatter in their brain 5 times a day, while someone else has it 50 times a day? That changes the playing field. Maybe the 5 times a day person can willpower themselves through it, but the 50 times a day, that's a different story. So the question is, can you expect the same results from the 5 or the 50? This is where the science gets interesting. Our brain is constantly monitoring survival. And of course, food is one of our survival mechanisms. Several systems influence food thoughts and appetite. Ghrelin, often called the hunger hormone, increases before a meal and signals to your brain it's time to eat. Leptin, often called the full hormone, it's signaled when enough energy or food has been consumed. But dopamine, this is where things get interesting. At this point, food is no longer just fuel, it's an expectation. Dopamine isn't just about pleasure, it's about anticipation, motivation, seeking, and the desire for reward. Highly processed foods can stimulate the reward system in powerful ways. Your brain learns, your brain remembers, and your brain starts to anticipate. This might be the most important thing I say today. Not always your body asking for calories. Sometimes it's stress, boredom, loneliness, habit, anxiety, avoidance, and exhaustion. Sometimes food becomes your coping mechanism. I stayed pretty much in shape for the majority of my life. I wobbled, I yo-yo dieted, but at that time I was trying to lose 20, 30 pounds. I feel like I was pretty consistently about 30 pounds overweight for my entire adult life. When I worked in the office, I was one of those people who walked around the office for break, walked around the building, for break, walked here and there, walked over there to eat. It's just around the corner, so we walked over there. So it was a lot more activity and movement. You had to be cute. Let's be honest. We had to stay in shape because you're going to see people every day and you want to be cute. And that's for real. That's just part of it. But when I started working from home, everything changed. It became normal to not really move at all. At that time, when I started working from home, I worked long hours. I was on projects that took a lot of my time. And so I would work a lot of hours. And I found myself sitting in one spot for 12 hours sometimes on my computer. And then when Uber Eats became popular and something to do, I would order that almost as like just something to give me a little boost or change the vibe or whatever. And when you work from home, for me at least, it's comment below if you agree. When I started working from home, sweats and a t-shirt became my uniform. So you didn't have to yoga pants, and they don't let you know that you've gained more than 20 pounds. They stretch. But over years of those same habits, not moving as much, not doing as much, it changes your body. And this is where I am, but that doesn't make me weak. It just means I have to start from where I am and get to where I want to be. The reason why food noise has become almost a household phrase is because people on GLP-1s started reporting something remarkable. The food thoughts had quieted. Researchers are still trying to learn exactly why this happens, but what we do know is GLP-1 medications affect appetite regulation, gastric emptying, and reward pathways involved with food motivation. What surprised many people who were taking GLP-1s was not the eating less, it was the mental freedom. For the first time in many people's lives, they weren't negotiating with food in pantries and drive-throughs anymore. They had the freedom to think about what they really want to accomplish, which brings up an interesting conversation, as a lot of people think overweight people are lazy or they don't want to do anything besides eat. But with this information, maybe it's not laziness. Well, I will say it's not laziness for most people. If you deal with this or have dealt with food noise, it is a constant conversation going on in your head. And for me, without it now, I am able to focus on my goals, focus on my dreams. These last 6 months, I have been able to accomplish a myriad of things that I wasn't so many things that I wasn't able to do before. Now I thought of myself that I was lazy, but now I see it wasn't laziness. It was this constant battle that it's for me, it was hard to win. And with the food noise gone or subsided, not gone, it's still here and sometimes, but quite less. With that lessened, I'm able to focus on things that are important to me. So even to my friends and family, I come across like a rocket just running around doing everything. This is who I am, just without having that battle going on in my head. This was always me. So maybe someone in your life who is battling weight, please give them grace and maybe have a conversation with them, because it doesn't necessarily mean that they're lazy or they just don't want to walk around, they just don't want to do anything. Some people might be carrying a burden that you can't see. This is something that I wrestled with even talking about in this video. Food noise can carry shame because from the outside, people see behavior. They may see you going to the drive-thru a lot. They may see you eating a lot in the pantry a lot, cooking a lot, but they can't see or hear the conversations going on in your head. They don't see the cravings, the bargaining, the mental fatigue, the constant decisions. It can become exhausting. And many people go through life blaming themselves for something they never really understood. And that's why I'm making this video. If it helps one person feel like, oh, I got it, that's what it was, then this was all worth it. With the clarity that I have gained about food noise, I was also able to figure out my trigger foods. I call them kryptonite foods. And because I'm a Superman fan, and don't make fun of me. So, but I realized it wasn't every fast food for me. It wasn't everything. I had three things that triggered me. And I would not have had that clarity about the trigger foods if I had not had clarity with food noise being gone. And with it's if it's really some how can I'll say it like this for people who may not understand it. Food noise is like an ex that's not good for you, but they were fun to be around. And they're constantly texting you and calling you and texting you and calling you. And you don't hate them. You're not angry with them. They just weren't good for you. And so you're trying to go on with your life and they're constantly contacting you. And one day, one day you're gonna, hey, how you doing? You're gonna respond, you know? And that's what food noise is. It's something you don't hate. It's you don't hate food, right? It's just not good for you in the amounts that your body is asking you to ingest it. And that's what food noise is. So when you get that clarity or that quiet from it, you're able to get goals accomplished. I myself was surprised at how much mental capacity it took from me and how much I'm able to accomplish now. And I'm not going to lie, I have moments where it still is very strong and I have to just work through it and figure it out because it doesn't go away, it just gets quieted. With that said, let's talk about how to reduce food noise. So we're not going to go for perfection, we're going to go for consistent progress. One, and this is not in any order, but these are all things you can do to help with food noise without getting on a GLP-1. Prioritize protein. Protein tends to increase satiety and reduces excess hunger. Improve your sleep. If you guys watch any of my shows, I might mention sleep in almost all of them. Poor sleep affects appetite regulating hormones and can increase cravings. Very important. This one is very important. Identify your trigger foods. Some foods create an intense desire for more food. This is why I call them kryptonite foods. Know your trigger foods. Very important. Manage your stress. Manage your stress. Stress does not only affect mood, it also impacts your eating behaviors. Try to eat very consistent. For some people who may have eating restrictions, the food noise can get very loud for you. So, consistency might help with that. Build a bigger life. As the food noise quiets, your life can become bigger. Put that energy into the things that you've always been wanting to build and do and create. I have found my life has become my life. I'm headed in the directions that I've wanted to be going in for years. And I absolutely believe that you can do the same. Side note, I honestly didn't realize how much energy and brain power the food noise took up. A lot of my day was spent eating in some way, going to eat, cooking something to eat, eating in some way. And now that I kind of on a schedule or consistent, it's not that way. I enjoy what I eat, but I'm not eating all day. And that opens up so much time to do so many other things. As food noise gets louder, your life gets smaller. So as you work through the food noise, remember this: purpose matters, connection matters, man, joy matters, and getting to your goals absolutely matters. This for me has been the biggest way I combat food noise. The more meaningful I create, the more meaningful I make my life, the quieter the food noise gets. Remember this: The more meaningful your life becomes, the less food has to do all the heavy emotional lifting. Every single video I make is for this purpose that I'm about to say right now. What if you've spent years fighting the wrong battle? What if the goal isn't simply eating less? What if the goal is understanding why the food noise is there in the first place? I truly believe awareness changes everything. Remember, you cannot solve a problem that you truly don't understand. So if food noise has been a part of your life for maybe decades, I want you to hear this. You're not broken. You're not weak. You're not failing. You're learning. And once you understand why and what's happening, you can finally stop fighting yourself and start working with yourself. My goal, and I hope your goal, and I wish this for you, is never perfection. It's always peace. It's about building a life where food takes the place it deserves. No more, no less. All right, my friends, do something that makes you proud. Have a wonderful day. Love y'all. Peace.